hang on.
All right, I had the sound low for a second, and then I put it. It doesn't even matter, to be honest with you. It doesn't. Welcome to the live horror with Marchese and Buller because we could do it this week. We are going to do this fast. Just talk about a few
Mm-hmm.
things that we're doing. Um, Maybe talk about the show. Let me pull it back up. Our wait, you know what? Scene, is that the one? No, it's not the one. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Screen capture. There we go. There we are. Now we're gonna. We did a few shows because Gary is going to get married, so he's gonna be next weekend getting things ready, and then the weekend after that he's going away to Cyprus. He's gonna get married, and so we recorded 3 shows that we're gonna put out. One was for it, one was for the Creep Show, and one was where I talk about cooking pasta. So it'd be
It was
fun.
a really good show, actually. It's something that we should seriously consider going forward. A little cookery show.
A
It's,
little
it's quite
cookery show, yeah.
interesting.
But what
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have to do that though, I'm gonna tonight when I'm making the pasta, I'm gonna record each step I do. I'm not gonna do it like in like I'm gonna record each segment. So like I'll
Yeah.
throw in the onions, throw in the garlic, and blah blah blah, and then this
Mm-hmm.
way they could see as I'm talking what I'm doing. So it'll be interesting. But
Yeah.
I was saying, what do you think is more relevant right now? Because you said has been out for a while.
Yeah, I think it's been out around a couple of weeks. I know Creep Show, I think it aired Friday or something like that.
Mm.
First, so I think that'd be the more relevant in terms of finger on the pulse kind of.
So Creep Show this week, and then it next week.
I think so, and then the cookery show after.
Okay, all right.
And maybe we could reissue this show as a like a.
Well, this show is going to be tomorrow. I'm just going to
Oh,
today.
okay.
Today, I'm just going to put it out,
Yeah,
um,
that's good.
and then probably Friday I'll do. You know, if I don't do a show this week, maybe I'll do this Creep Show next week,
Hmm.
it the week after, and then go like that.
Yeah.
I'll do the
Um,
yeah.
I was going to say actually, I've been reading the Institute by Stephen King, and I'm probably about 5 hours into it, audiobook wise. It's a 17-hour audiobook, and it's been really impressive so far. I've really enjoyed it. It's quite a slow mover, but at no point does it ever kind of get boring.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. I'm still not quite sure how it goes or what's happening. I know there's a very intelligent kid in there, and there's a school for gifted kids, and he gets kidnapped, and um, so I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go. So no spoilers, but yeah, it's been really interesting so far.
It's called the Institute. You said.
Yeah, it's called The Institute. It's a big old Stephen King book, I believe. I'm also really looking forward to Full Throttle by Joe Hill. I believe some of the stories in there I've already read. There's by the crystal waters of Lake Champlain's in it and stuff like that. In the Long Grass, isn't it? Which is about to be made into a Netflix film. I think I don't know
Oh.
if it's a TV show or a film. By the way, the Silver Water of Lake Champlain. That's going to be in Tales from the Crypt, not Tales from the Crypt, Creep Show as
Oh,
well.
wow. I
As
like
one of
those.
the episodes.
I like that they're doing that. You know, because too
Mm,
bad it's not like as easy as it used to be. Like I think it was like HBO was Tales from the Crypt, but
yeah.
too bad it's not as easy as it was before. Although it wasn't
Mm,
really easy because back then cable wasn't easy to get either. It's like so I
no.
didn't have cable.
I think they've tried remaking Tales from the Crypt. I think they were really, really close to doing it, like in the past couple of years. But
Yeah,
I think there's some sort of rights issue with,
it was the dummy, the doll. Yeah.
yeah, with the Crypt Keeper himself. Um,
What I would have done was I would have just made it like the original, like the old man. Make a
mhm,
whole new one. I mean, you have
yeah,
the Crypt Keeper dummy. Let that stay where it was. That was good for what it
hmm
was.
hmm
But you go more authentic.
yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair though, they probably would have been a bit uproar about it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the problem. You're going to get people who are unhappy
Well, this day and
Anyway,
age, you really can't please everybody. You know, it's
no, absolutely. It's like the Creep Show TV show. They updated they call him the Creep,
yeah.
even though nothing to do with My Little Lie, whatever it's called. What's it called, that film with the creep in it? Jeepers Creepers.
Oh
So,
yes.
so not to be confused with that creep, but they
Yeah.
call him the creep. In it, they remodeled him. It's different from the one in the movies, because back in the day there was three Creep Show movies. There was the Creep Show 1 and 2, which were both brothers in terms of like they were both, I think, either written or produced by Stephen King and the Romero fella, the zombie fella.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the third one was just like an anthology series that I think they just bought the rights to the name and just whacked that on there, just to make it up. I believe it's really poor, the third one. I've not actually seen Creepshow 2. I know it's got The Raft as one of the stories, which is a quite well-known Stephen King um, short story about some kids who go on a raft in the middle of a lake, and there's like a black circular thing in the water that sort of just
But wait, that
absorbs them.
that was done before, wasn't it? I think
The
it was done.
Raft.
Yeah, it was done on the original, where the girl lays down and then like half her face is.
Yeah. That's no. That was in Creepshow 2. That.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the original was. Oh gosh, so it was the one with Leslie Nielsen in it as the bad guy who murders a guy and his wife by drowning them. He buries them up to the
The
next
next,
inside.
yeah, and he
And
watches
they
on the TV and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And they come after him. And then there's the one with the cockroaches, which I think is the last one. A guy who's just really paranoid about bugs in his apartment. And then there's the one, the famous one about the cake, the Bedelia, where's my Father's Day cake, or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Birthday, or is it birthday cake? But yeah, there's that one, which is really good as well. And the one about the Yeti type creature it's called the crate, I think. You find him in a crate.
Yes, with the wife. That's always yeah. She pushes her into the crate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the original Creep Show, and the raft is in the second one, but I've never seen the second one.
Oh really? You never seen it?
Nope,
Oh wow.
nope.
Wow.
So it's one of those ones I want to see, but like I said, I watched it with my significant other, soon to be my wife, and when we watched it, she really didn't like Creep Show. She thought it was really cheesy.
Yeah.
Um, but I love it enough to have actually bought. Stephen King issued a comic book of it. It's like a paperback A4. It's basically the show but done in comic book form. So I bought a copy of that. You can get it on Amazon, I think.
Yeah. And you were telling me that the kid in the original Creep Show was Joe Hill, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the kid who sort of segments the episodes, he's sat in his room. I think he gets told off by his parents. And he's up reading these horrible comics. And the creep comes and knocks on the window. The kid who plays the kid is Joe Hill, so Stephen King's son.
Oh wow, that's cool. And I
Yeah,
never knew that. That's something. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's funny because you were saying that she didn't like the movies. She thought they were cheesy, but I was just talking about this with someone. I said, it's true that the shows back then, the B-rated they would probably call them, were cheesy, but they still had a realism to them. They still scared
Mm-hmm.
you. Today if you
Mm-hmm.
try to do that, it doesn't come out the same. Like it's just
No.
cheesy. It's just oh, get out of here. But back then they had, even though they were cheesy, and even though you could look away and say this doesn't really happen. This is not real. They still scared you, and they still had an effect.
Mm-hmm. I think I said to you, I don't want to spoil the podcast, the episode that we just did, that we just recorded, but I think I said in the episode that Creep Show's definitely a product of its time. It's this the comic book style, the sort of cheesy, over the top gore. It's like it is very much a 1980s horror film, an anthology film. I think it was very close to around the time that the Twilight Zone anthology TV show came out, and what was the other one that was very similar? But there's kind of like a raft of, no pun intended, a raft of similar sort of anthology style horror.
Yeah.
Um,
The Cat's Eye.
the Cat's Eye
That
was
was a
another
little
one.
more serious though. That was a little more.
One of my favourites actually is a horror film, and anyone who's listening, please try and find it, because I can't find it at the moment. I think you can maybe buy a DVD or a video cassette on Amazon of it or on eBay. But it's a film called Asylum with Robert Powell in it. He's an English actor. It was filmed, I think it was back in 1979, I want to say.
Hmm.
It might even been earlier than that. But it's an anthology horror series, a movie, sorry. And it's about a guy, he goes to this asylum and he gets interviewed for a job there as one of the doctors. So the guy interviewing says, I'm the head doctor here. To prove your worth here and to prove how good you are as a psychiatrist, I want you to go and interview. It's either 3 or 4 people on this corridor, and you have to tell me which one of these people used to be a doctor here, and he's sort of since become a patient. So Robert Powell goes and interviews each of these people, and each one's a different segment, and each one's a different type of horror. So it's like an anthology, and at the end there's this really really clever twist.
It sort of sounds like Shutter Island, no?
No, no, it's not like Shutter Island. It's very British. If you like the Hammer House of Horrors, it's very very similar to that.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I think it was produced by the equivalent of, like there's Disney and there's, what's the other one that makes the films? There's Disney films and there's the guys that make Shrek and
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. So it's like the equivalent, like of Disney and DreamWorks. The guys that made Asylum were like the DreamWorks to Hammer House of Horrors Disney.
Oh, okay.
They're sort of very similar, very British horror. Very British horror is kind of really dry, very serious, very little cheese, very takes itself quite seriously. Whereas American kind of horror at the similar time is very OTT and a little bit of humor thrown in there, and
Yeah.
But Asylum is a very good. I've gone off on a tangent here, but it's a very good anthology.
No, it's good actually, because these are things that I was thinking about this week. I was thinking about, remember the Return of the Living Dead?
Yes.
So now Romero and this other guy, I just can't think of his name right now, but he's the one that kind of wrote the script for Return of the Living Dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Romero and him wrote the original, but then Romero got most of the credit because he was like the face and he did the script and the directing and stuff. But he comes out and there's actually an article somewhere where he talks about this, where he was he didn't get as much credit as he should have. He was like,
Yeah.
but this guy did.
Tom Savini, is it? The special effects guy. I know he does a bit of writing and directing.
No, he actually. Let me see. Well, while I'm looking for that, I'm going to say this first. That the Return of the Living Dead, even though it was a dark horror, a dark comedy,
Mm-hmm.
the first one was very serious, and the acting. I mean, I know people are going to say, "Oh, please," but if you go back and watch the first Return of the Living Dead, number 2 and number 3 and number 4 were parodies of the first one. They were trying. They got a little cheesy, but the first one, even though it was a dark comedy, was very good acting and very serious. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what scared me about it, because especially the first part where they said that it could be done, and then I read about how they had that nerve gas that can make bodies come back to life, which is something they do have. It's a nerve toxin, but they obviously go off and make it more horror. But I'm sure it's along the lines of like when you put salt on a frog and the legs start dancing. It does something with the nerves. But back then, I really was like, holy shit, this is based off a real thing, and it kind of scared me. But it was serious, even though it was comedy. And I was saying you can't really do that today. You can't mix comedy with the horror too well, at least that I've seen in current horror.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a very similar conversation earlier today with my dad. He comes every Sunday to see the grandkids and stuff. And we're saying about how the original Child's Play, I think we've said to you, was quite a serious film. There was elements of humour in there, but it was dark. It was really dark. And the original Nightmare on Elm Street it's a product of its time. But it was very dark, and they kind of took the quips, of the serial killers and sort of expanded in the sequels, made it.
And the thing is, it was funny, but it wasn't cheesy. But as they went on, they kind of got cheesier. But the guy's name is Dan O'Bannon.
Okay.
And he's Return of the Living Dead, a 1985 American horror comedy written and directed by Dan O'Bannon, starring. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he I believe wrote the. Oh no, you know what? Dan O'Bannon was the shoot, the director. Uh,
Okay.
Living Dead novel. It was a novel. Let me see. Return of the Living Dead novel was. Crap.
The novel was really good. I had the novelization when I was a kid. My grandma
John
bought it
Russo.
me.
John Russo.
John Russo.
He's the one
I
that worked with Romero.
right. I just you reminded me just on the novelization. My grandma bought it for me when I was like 14 or something, 13, and the front cover of it was hideous.
Yeah.
It was like a guy with half his face missing, just like a close-up shot, all black in the background. And there's this old fella, he had hair coming off him and stuff. And he had like half his face, you could see like his jaw and stuff
Yeah.
there. And it was a hideous front cover. So much so that when she got it me, I actually put it right to the back of my bookshelf where I couldn't see it. Because it's stuff of nightmares, I was only kind of young.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd read it, so it's
Yeah. But let me ask you a question. Do you remember the story?
reading it.
Like, was it the novelization of the movie, or was it the original that he had with the cop and he was going
No,
around?
I think this one might have been a novelization of the movie,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was I believe it was critically acclaimed. It was still a very good book, and people still bought it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause it wasn't just like I had Poltergeist as well, the novelization of that. It was bought to me within the same batch by my grandma, and that was just literally a novelization. It's quite poor,
yeah.
but that one was
It's
good.
hard to do those, because you can't really put
Oh yeah,
the intricacies that you want to put. Like when you're
yeah,
creating from scratch, you're creating from your mind. But when
yeah,
when you're novelizing something, you have to put what that person was thinking. And I
yeah,
guess without working with that person that wrote the script, it's kind of hard to do that
yeah.
and
And you
inject
sit
your
there,
own stuff into it.
you sit there and you watch the film, and you make notes, and you've got to stick to those rigid boundaries. It's not like
Yeah.
you can let your imagination go wild. I had the novelization of Wes Craven's New Nightmare as well. I remember buying that, um, and that was really poor as well.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I mean, for
Yeah,
on speaking for the people who do those novelizations, it's hard to do. It's not an easy thing.
yeah,
Sometimes you have to really be like you could be a good writer or a great writer and do your own novel, right? That's one thing. But
yeah,
then to really be all around, just knowing everything, novelizing is a hard thing.
yeah. I know some people do it as a profession. This sort of writing novelizations of things. I think didn't Maybury do a bit of novelization as well? I'm sure he's done a novelization of something.
Maybe
Or
I'm not
maybe it's
sure.
Brian. Maybe it's Brian Keane. One of that sort of group of writers wrote a few novelizations. It might have been the Alien movies actually.
Maybe I know that sometimes that breaks you in also. Like that gets you into the field, and people are like, oh yeah, I remember they did that novelization, and then you check out
Yeah.
their book, and then
I don't know if you've heard of an author called Jason Arnott. He wrote, uh, oh gosh, The Life and Times of Jack Reach. Not Jack Reach. I'm thinking of something else.
that's
I'll find the name of it. It's a horror book. But apparently he did the novel when he was younger. He did the novelization of the Friday the 13th series for some reason. There's a rare book out there where he did like a Jason Voorhees thing.
wait, Gary, you're not going to see this, but this might be
Jack Sparks. That's what the book's called. Sorry, go on. Yeah,
okay.
go on.
I'm putting up the video, or not a
Yeah.
video. I don't know if this is the novelization of. I'm gonna send this to you,
Okay.
so this way you can see what World of Books.
I'm literally gonna have to go in 2 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna just send this to you on Facebook. What the
Cool.
fuck? There we go. And this might be the thing you were talking about. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I'll
That
tell you.
that link. Um,
1 second. I'll have a look. If I go off screen for a minute, because
yeah, it's a pretty scary
yeah,
looking cover there.
1 minute. Let's have a look. I'll tell you straight away. Um, gosh, it isn't actually.
No,
No,
but
but it's very, very, very similar.
that's a
Yeah,
scary.
yeah. It's similar. It must have been the same photo shoot because the background looks very similar.
Yeah, and it's like all dark
Um,
and back. And the thing is, like, the Mudman was the thing that scared me the most about Return of the Living Dead. That thing is like
yeah.
more brains, and he's like just thinking that thing coming after you, man. I think I just fainted. Shit would eat me. They would just eat me because I'm like, I don't know how. And they should, they should put that if you want to make a real zombie novel, because there's such a glut of zombie novels right now. But if you wanted to make it a real zombie novel, it's not
Yeah,
the zombies. It's the person that's running away, right? It's the situation.
yeah,
You're locked in
yeah,
the room. Now you have to get to that other room, but there's a whole bunch of things in your way. That's what the novel's about, not the zombies.
yeah,
But
yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
if you make it where the person faints because they're so scared of these things coming back to life, like I've never seen that really where these guys they just come out and they're warriors all of a sudden. Yeah, I've been
yeah,
through the zombie apocalypse, but there's a depression. I would be sitting in a room watching these things run and walk outside and go, "Damn, I can't go outside." Because
yeah.
what's the dead is walking the earth, it's just
Yeah.
it's
And on the other side of it, you have like we started watching the American Horror Story, the new series, which is set in the 80s. It's like 1980s slasher.
yeah.
Set at this camp, by a lake, and it's like a pastiche of so many different horror films. Um,
That's the new
but
one,
that's
right? The latest one.
yes, the latest one, which is again, I think it's this week or maybe last week. I think it's 2 episodes available. Um, but that was the opposite. There's constant, people running and tripping over. And Lisa was like, "My goodness, how terrible is this?" Sort of terrible in a good way, though. The fact that they're sort of riffing on these horror films where people are always falling over and
Yeah,
and they can't run straight, and they always run into danger. But he captured it really well, that 80s horror, running up a dead end alley.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, man, I better go. I really have to go.
yeah.
So,
I got to go do the lawn again.
okay. So don't forget to do your pasta episode. I
Yes,
want to
I'm
see.
going
I
to
want to see
record
it.
that. I'm going to actually. I have the. I have. It's sort of like this. This is the thing that came with the camera I'm using right now on the thing, but it's. I have one for the phone, so I'm gonna set it up, make it
Hmm.
like a cooking show, and
Nice. I look forward
yes.
to it.
Wait,
All right, man.
let me do
I
that.
better love you and leave you.
And yeah. Okay. We had it. Okay. There we go. See you in 3 weeks, Gary. Well,
Yeah.
at least
Well,
in video format.
I'll be in contact. Yeah, I'll let you know what's going on.
Ooh, indeed.
See you later.
And to that one viewer out there, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.